Welcome for day 3 of Organized AF Bootcamp. I'm on a few minutes early, so if you're watching the replay, you can skip ahead about 4 minutes. We'll be getting started in about 4 minutes. If you're watching the replay, you can just comment replay. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. Maybe let me know your profession. What type of professional are you? Are you in a leadership role? Are you managing a team? I'd love to hear all about that. Hello to my Facebook community. Hello, I'm so excited. We've had some really awesome conversations in there and some real talk. Like the people that are in that group have very complex roles, jobs. They're a mix of professionals, people leading teams, project management, scientists. Like it's been really, really fun to hear about your experiences and how I'm able to help you and then hear about like what other things you'd like to learn about. So I'm just loving going live, being live, learning from you all. I'm hearing how I'm able to help. It's really like it's my thing. I love this almost more than making static videos. So I'm going to be, thinking about doing some more of that. But yeah, this has been a really fun challenge. Let's just make sure we're live in Facebook. Check my phone here, as I always do. All right, there I am. Hello. It's funny seeing it. Okay, perfect. Oh, and it looks like my shipped shopper, like have a Target order for groceries. She's done and will be delivering. So that's gonna happen in the middle of this live stream. It'll just have to wait. All right, I'm so excited. As you join, feel free to say hello. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Today is going to be jam-packed. We are talking about all the things. And this talk is really going to tie a lot of things together. So we've been sort of building on top of the content from day 1 to today's day 3, and it's going to keep building. So I'm pumped about that. I'm absolutely pumped. If you're joining us live or watching the replay, I hope you're enjoying a nice beverage. Right now, I'm obsessed with bubbly, and this is the orange cream bubbly. I highly recommend. Highly recommend. All right, I'm just going to make sure that my emails went out, which they did because they were scheduled. Let's make sure my Instagram post goes. All right, we are rocking and rolling. If you're watching this and you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm at KFA Consulting, so I'll put that in the chat. All right, perfect. We have 1 minute to go. Hello, I see a couple people have joined. Thank you for being here. If you're joining, let me know if you can hear me in the comments. Say hi. Make sure you can hear me and make sure you let me know if you can hear me. Put your name in the chat. Say hello. Let me know your profession, maybe where you're watching from. And if you've been here for days 1 and 2 already, let me know if you've been here and you're like, all right, Kayla, let's do day 3. I'm excited for you to tie it all together. All right, I'm just going to jump right in. So let's just get started. Let me share my screen. I'm going to try to do this correctly so that I don't lose myself like I did last time. Let me go to Canva and go ahead and share my screen. Or I do a split screen so I can see my presentation and get this in presenter mode. All right. We should be a go. Awesome. Welcome to day 3 of Organized AF Bootcamp. Day 3 of 4. We are almost done, y'all. After today, we'll be, we have, 75% done. So I'm just like, do not want this week to come to an end. Today's topic is we're going to talk about how to add the most value at work and love doing it. I want for you to like wake up on Sunday morning and you're like enjoying your day, not having Sunday scaries, not worrying about what's coming tomorrow because you're like, I've got this under control. And then on Monday morning, you wake up and you're like, I can't wait to go. Like, this is going to be fun. I'm going to love my day. And I know maybe in these days that sounds a bit unrealistic, but it's not. You can find proper alignment in your job and your career. It just takes a little bit of skill to and strategy to be organized, because then you can make it feel really easy and you'll love it. So, hi, I see people are joining. If you are joining me, please say hi. Put a comment in the chat, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. I love to know who's here. Let me know if you've been here for previous days or if it's your first day. Some housekeeping before we start. I go live every day, Monday through this Thursday. So tomorrow's the last day, 4 p.m. Central or 5 p.m. Eastern. I spend about 45 minutes on the topic. Yesterday went a bit long, so I'm going to try to, like, I made less slides today. So we'll see if I meet that goal. And then after that, we'll have a Q&A, and there will be a daily action. So I assign homework every day. I'm here. I don't know if I can say the whole time. No problem. I can't see who said that from Facebook. So maybe type your name in the chat. Let me know who it is. Thanks for being here. You can watch the replay. I will send the replay out in an email afterwards. If you're not signed up and not getting emails from me, just let me know and I will add you to the list. If you do the daily homework within a day, so like 24 hours, you'll be submitted for a chance to win a giveaway. Super exciting. And so the giveaway and surprises. So one of the things I'm giving away is 3 months of one-on-one career and leadership coaching from me for free. So I'm excited to draw a name out of the hat. I'll probably do some electronic drawing system so that we can spend, once a month talking about it. All right. Well, talking about your career. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. We can spend once a month talking about your career, getting you all set up for success. So there's an additional surprise today. So let's unveil this. So I am launching a brand new course called Organized AF University. I'm really excited about it. I've been taking all the feedback. Oh, all the feedback. Oh my gosh, this is cute. Miles. Click the button. I meant to say Emily. I love that. Hi, Miles. So I'm launching a new course called Organized AF University. So I've been taking all the feedback I've been getting the last few days from you and making sure that I'm incorporating that into a course. I've had this idea for a while. I am excited because I'm going to be sharing all the details with you tomorrow, going in depth. But what I can say is this course is going to be several modules. They're going to be shorter, but very tangible. And so you're able to tackle and get through each lesson. And so, yeah, it's going to be many modules, but it's going to be like little pieces and bites that you can like quick implement, watch, implement. I love like the idea of learn a little, do a little. So that's what we're aiming for here. And it's going to include like all the templates I have ever created. Like, it's massive. It's going to have checklists. I'm going to have my Leader Standard workbook included, as well as the Making Work Visible book, like all the things. So more tomorrow. And so, like I said, I'll be unveiling more details tomorrow. Enrollment for this course will be live tomorrow. And I will also be giving away one of the courses for free based on homework completion. So I'm excited. I hope you are too. If you're in the Facebook community, there's going to be a post that's going up after this asking you, if you could add anything to this course, what would it be? Like, what would you definitely have to include? So if you're watching on YouTube or you're in Facebook, just put that in the chat if you can think of something. What would be something that you absolutely need to have in this course? So I'm excited about this. All right. So like I said before we started, everything is like building on top of each other. So just quickly, summary of day one, we talked about beginning with the end in mind and spending most of your energy thinking about outcomes, which then makes it easier and faster to know what processes or tasks or to-dos you should be doing every day. When you do it this way, you know what you need to do and you know where you're going. And when you organize yourself in this way, your team will feel the same. So they'll be quicker, which will be better for you. So this is the lean concept. We also talked about easier, better, faster, cheaper. Remember, this is if you make processes easy, you'll have higher quality work. You'll be able to get it done faster. And then in return, less time, less energy, less money, cheaper. Remember, we also talked about the spirit of your role, which is kind of like here by the icons of the multicolored popsicle and the starburst or the fireworks. When you think about your role as a leader, as a professional, as a team lead, as a manager, whatever you call yourself, a scientist, this is so much less limiting than if we're like, what do I do every day? When you start thinking about like tasks, that can often feel really like boxed in and limiting. But when you think about what is my purpose of my role, what problems am I meant to solve, like there are limitless and endless things and ways you can show up every day. We also talked about crafting your brand at work. How do you want to be perceived? What do you want others to think of you? And a lot of you said in the Facebook group, like, I want to be perceived as the expert. I want people to know I can do any challenge that comes my way. I want leaders to know that I'm up for a challenge, that I can be high level and in the weeds at the same time. So I loved hearing all about that. Quick summary for day 2, we talked about making work visible and how that is life-changing. How when you make things visible, it is easier for you and your team to really see where you're going. And part of being organized and proactive professional is being able to articulate that outcome, that vision. So without being able to visually show that outcome or vision, you'll see that people don't quite get what you're trying to say. They'll be like, I don't quite get it. And you'll have less buy-in. So making work visible can really help with that. We talked about how we often spend time in that urgent and important bucket. However, this is like where fires are, and it's really hard to live in a fire all the time. Like that's where the burnout comes. So, what if we lived in the important, high impact, and not urgent, or the square of proactiveness that feels a lot better? So, that's what we're teaching, and we want to get you there. We also talked about when you're solving problems or creating projects, how you really want to remember A3 thinking, which is what's my current state, what's my future ideal state, and what is the gap? And you want to close the gap when trying to make progress to that future ideal state or that outcome or that end game. So when you're closing gaps, you're like, okay, what countermeasures are going to directly close that gap? And lastly, we talked about Kanban boards, Kanban. Some people say Kanban. I was taught Kanban. We talked about that for assigning projects, moving it through a flow of, on deck, planning, doing, finalizing, etc., all those things so that you can see the flow of a project from start to finish. You can assign accountable leaders and owners. And then you can also say, okay, yeah, we all have to juggle like 80 projects or whatever it is. In this case, it's, 10, 15, 20 projects. But what are our few priority projects? Prioritizing that over the year and saying these ones first, these ones next, these ones last. And then finally, we talked about how to use tools, visual tools to communicate. And a big one was, how do I communicate up and out to my leaders? And by using a project list, like an active project list or a dashboard, or just showing your leader these tools, like your Kanban board, you can communicate easily in a visual way, like, hey, here's all of the things we have. If you want to add something or subtract something, we have to take a look at this. And then lastly, we talked about SBAR, situation, background, assessment, recommendation, as a way to create clear, concise communication to get what you want or to communicate what you need people to know. All right, that's the summary. As a reminder, we've just talked about days 1 and 2. Today, we're talking about how to add the most value at work and love doing it. And tomorrow, we're talking about automating your processes and reducing decisions and unnecessary stress and fatigue. So we're going to be really focusing on templating your work and how to, like today we're going to be talking about delegating. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about like how to set that up with automation and templates and how you can spend more time on the ideation of things, creating white space, time for thinking, all of that jazz. Super pumped. of course, we'll talk about organized AF University. So today, again, you'll learn how to add the most value at work and love doing it. So let's get on into the content. All right, if you're with me, say hi in the chat. Let me know that you're ready for today's pep talk. So today I'm going to start by pep talking you, giving you a little bit of cheerleader moment and saying you are in control of your own time and destiny. And if you're not sure how to do this, don't fear. I've got your back. I totally have your back. I think sometimes when we work for corporate organizations or even entrepreneurs, we get stuck in the fact that we think like our work controls us. Hi, Emily. Yay, you're still here. Or like we feel like somebody else is in control of our calendar. And I want you to know that by flipping your mindset, by implementing all the things we talked about this week, you are going to take back control of your own time and therefore have control over where you're meant to go and your destiny. Like I truly believe that once you start flipping that mindset, all of a sudden opportunities that you didn't see before are going to be apparent to you, which I think is awesome. Our brains tend to focus on the negatives way more than the positives. And I know you have way more positive things to focus on than negatives, but we have to be intentional about remembering that. So, like I mentioned in the group, many of you are scientists, many of you are team leaders, managers. If you think about the types of problems that come to us, it's usually like the bad things, right? Because that's our job to solve problems. So I noticed when I became a manager, I feel like I heard a disproportionate amount of bad things or negative things in my day. And I had to consciously remember my positives. Like, how did I make a positive impact? Even flipping things like this was a problem, but I helped solve it or resolve it or help somebody else solve it. So just know that if sometimes you feel like, gosh, I feel like there's so much negative, or I'm so hard on myself, that can be normal in leadership positions, and you just have to be intentional about the positives. So I'm here to tell you that what you focus on grows. So if you focus on the right things, the right value added things at work, you're going to start to see positive things come your way because you're going to be having momentum and making progress, and it's going to feel like the bomb.com. All right. So I just want to say, face it till you make it. We are here to have a learning mindset. So that's why I have like the growth little plant. But also I have like I said, learn a little, do a little. So the ideas and then like the wheel, like do something about it. So if you take away anything from these 4 days, it's that knowledge is awesome, but it means nothing unless you take action on it. So pick one thing. If you pick one thing from 4 days, do that one thing and see how it goes for you. Don't just sit on the knowledge. So I have creativity, watching videos, cheerleader, like a sciencey atom graphic, a magnifying glass for curiosity, and like ideas, books, reading, journaling. That could be a lab notebook. Face it till you make it. What I mean is learn and be here and be present until you find what works for you. I don't believe in faking it till you make it. I definitely think that you have to you can like try to exhibit or what's the word I'm looking for? But you can try to put on an air of confidence even if you're not. But I don't think you should pretend that you know all the things. Like being in a growth and learning mindset to me is way more sexy than a know-it-all. All right, so I want to talk about how do we know what work is value added? And I call this discernment because you're going to have to make choices every single day. You have a choice if you're going to work on this or if you're going to work on this. So I'm going to talk through how to discern. So today we're going to be talking about our span of control or influence, and we're going to be talking about how to have intention. And I just want to say like up front, every day, if we're going to move the needle, we want to be focusing with intention on our strategic goals. So these are goals you set that often affect your compensation and whether or not you are successful in the organization. We want to focus on priority projects. So those things that we have deemed as a team or your leader has deemed or you have deemed as priority. I also believe in quick wins. So we talked about effort and resources yesterday. I love to do things also kind of on the side that are easy to do and have a high return for my team. So if my people are saying, Kayla, I need XYZ, and I'm like, that's pretty easy. I don't really try to like, oh, when am I going to do that in the middle of all these projects? I just label that as like a just do it. So that's kind of a Nike thing. Like you can label it as like, just do it. If it's quick and it's going to add value and it's going to build rapport and trust with your team, like take the 5, 10, 1 hour, whatever it is, 5, 10 minutes, 1 hour in your day and just like get that done, because that kind of like gives you more runway to do all the other big things you want to do. That shows your team like, she's good at getting these things done. Let's give her space to accomplish long-term big goals, because right now we're happy with this like dopamine that we've gotten from a quick win. If that makes sense. I don't know. It's kind of a little trick that I have that I do. You also want to focus on high visibility projects. So let's say like to you, XYZ project is important, but there's another thing that's important and your boss is knows about it, and maybe your boss's boss knows about it and they're counting on that thing getting done. Don't kind of put that off thinking like that's a huge thing, and work on your own little things, little or smaller or less visible things. You may be highly organized and trying to advocate and prioritize things for your department, but as a whole, if you want to be known in your organization as proactive, I would focus on high visibility projects that you've agreed on completing. I know this maybe seems super obvious, but I've worked with leaders before who are like killing it, like they're rocking it in all these areas. And then there's just like one thing that they don't do, but that is a thing that is highly visible and kind of reaches outside of their department. And because of that, other people are like, yeah, they never get anything done. So I just want you to be aware of that perception when you're thinking about the spirit of your role and how you want to be perceived. And then I would also focus on trust building activities. So these are things like going to the department. I talk about going to Gemba. Gemba means going where the work is. So, or you can think of it as rounding, talking with your people, hearing and listening to what the things that are going on, showing that you can get them quick wins. Those should all be things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis to show that you are in it with them side by side at the elbow, willing to kind of hear exactly what their problem is and then take that up and resolve it. Hello, if you're just joining me, say hi in the chat. Let me know you're excited for day 3. I'm pumped to see more people joining. I will be showing any comments on the screen too throughout. So if you have a question or comment, I'll try to answer it as we go through. All right. And then lastly, I want to say for discernment, later on, like I said, we're going to be talking about delegating. And so I want you to think about what are the things that which only I can do, right? What are things only you or your role should be doing? And everything else maybe needs to belong to someone else. So I just wanted to share, like put that little bug in your ear. This phone graphic I created and shared on Instagram a long time ago, but I found it today and I thought it'd be really relevant. So our inner dialogue, if we were texting ourselves, shouldn't you be doing more? And then I would say, I focus on what matters most right now. It's hard not to think about all the things, but I rest knowing my intention was to be fully present. I carve out time for what matters. I'm imperfect, and that's part of being a human. You got this. Something that I always have to remind my team at work is like, yeah, you're a human. Especially when they're like, oh gosh, I'm not able to do it all. It's like, yeah, that's normal. Like, you are not Hercules. I don't want you to be a hero leader and fall on the sword. Like, I need you here tomorrow, alive and well. Let's not burn you out. So, focusing with intention and on what matters makes you able to be in it for the long run and be able to enjoy your work with a passion and a fervor. All right, so let's talk about your span of control. I want you to really think about what cadence of work and what like breadth of work you should be really owning as a professional and as a leader. So let me talk through this. This is a graphic from Lean. So we've been talking about lean thinking and increasing quality and reducing waste and processes these last few days. So right in the middle, it's hard to see probably, but it's the process standard work. So it's like the thing at which is where like the work is done. So if you're working in a lab, let's say, this would be like I'm on the bench and I'm running an experiment, right? Or if you're a project manager, this would be like I'm completing a task that's been assigned to me as part of a project. Um, that would be like if you're doing a project, completing a task would be like the work, the middle of the thing. I know there's somebody that works on credit card fraud that is in my boot camp right now. Like, I suppose it'd be like the person who's like maybe running the reports and analyzing those to like detect fraud. So that would be like that center. And then if you go out, it widens. So you've got like the team leader in the first rung, and they're really concerned with the hourly work of that department, those tasks. Like they're thinking like, okay, I need to make sure that the hour by hour of the work goes well. If you go out another rung to like the supervisor position, um, they're really concerned with the day. So supervisors want to make sure like the day is staffed. We have everybody present. Everybody, all the stakeholders are here if they need to be here during the, the project, let's say. Maybe it's just like they're really focused on not so much like every minute of every hour of the day. That's really the team lead, the person closest to the work. Supervisor is really looking at like the department and the day. Another rung out, you might think of like a manager. So, as a manager, I can speak to this. I create my standard work, and we'll talk about standard work, um, sort of in a weekly cadence. So, I want to make sure like the week goes well, and even in some cases, like the month. If you're a program manager, you might be concerned with the breadth of work for overall. So, maybe you're looking at like a monthly, semi annually, and an annual outlook. But really think about like, if you were to put yourself on one of these rungs, where do you really need to focus more of your time? Is it the hour by hour? Is it the day? Is it the week? Is it the month? Maybe you're a director and you're really concerned with the week, obviously. You get that info from your manager, but also monthly, annually. Vice president, maybe you're thinking like 3 years out, a year out. Okay? So you kind of get the concept. If you are not finding your role in this graphic, that's okay. Just kind of find the closest one and use it for like a start for where to begin. So I hope this helps you kind of like think about what is your span of control? What type of cadence do you need to have oversight of? Another example I'll give is like as a manager, I don't really want to know about the hour by hour because that would really bog me down and I wouldn't be able to do all of my work. So I really rely on my supervisor and my leads to know that and escalate as appropriate. So you can even think about like the escalation in your organization and what that would mean. Like you can go a level deeper and be like, what do I need to know that? Or do I not need to know that? So what type of overview your day-to-day activities or outcomes would what kind of day-to-day activities or outcomes would your strategy cover? So if you're thinking about the sorry, I kind of said that weird, but the spirit of your role, what would that cadence or overview be? All right, this slide is kind of wordy, so I'll go through quickly though. This ties into leader standard work. So I'm going to show you on the next slide a picture of it. It's a visual tool to help you manage and measure a successful day. So leader standard work actually builds in reflection, which is cool because it gives you feedback. So I know a lot of you are scientists and data-driven people. We have the logistician and the architect archetypes in our group. It's really cool. So this gives you feedback as to how you're doing. So you can visualize each day and week and what it looks like, and it helps you adjust or level load where necessary. It makes you stay in reality. So a lot of times, like I said, we want to do all the things, we want to do all the tasks, and then we get to the end of the day and we're like so burnt out and we wonder if we did anything. So this helps you see like, actually, I don't really have time to work on all the things and be that unorganized. I really need to have intention. It helps you standardize your role activities so you have a clear understanding of how you work and what you're working on. It helps you stay organized. And I talked about reflection, and you can visually see what's working and what's not. So you can tweak and perfect, which means you are constantly improving. You are iterating your standard work for the next day or the next week. And also the cool thing is talking about like as like a peek into tomorrow's content. This helps you build something that you can pass on to a successor. So you can actually create this tool and hand it to the next person and be like, here's what I do every day. All right, so this is leader standard work. So this is a picture of a template. Um, and it has a daily, weekly, and monthly section. And across the top, it has the days of the week. And essentially, what it is each day, and for the week and for the month during that current week, you'll list your activities that you're doing. So these activities should be working on those priority projects, working on those strategic goals, and potentially quick wins. And it could also include meetings that you're included in. And then you would leave a box for each task on the day that it falls. So, like these boxes are on Monday. And then what you would do is here's like kind of a bigger example. This is a daily thing. So, this is like a huddle, like a daily engagement system huddle that I talked about yesterday. For Monday, we have one in the morning and the afternoon. And it looks like you put an X if you were successful, and you put a circle or leave a blank if you were unsuccessful in meeting that task or doing that task to the standard. So you can see on Monday, it looks like I attended in the morning, but not in the afternoon for 3 days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, I managed to do both. So this is the reflection piece that I was mentioning. So every day you would go in and mark if you were able to do the thing, and a circle or empty space if you were not. And over time, you can see if, like, oh, I have a pattern. I never attend the afternoon huddle on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, then you start to ask, is it really imperative that I'm present that day? Has there been any fallout for me not attending? And if so, you might make the intentional decision to say, I can't possibly make every afternoon huddle, and that's okay. I get the most importance and value out of the morning huddle. So I'm just not going to attend the afternoon huddles. And then you're going to communicate that and let people know, so that you're being proactive and let them know, like, I thought about it and here's the decision. So I love this because the leader standard work lets you see, like, oh gosh, I was hoping to get to this task or this like work on my strategic goal here, and I was unable to do so. And then that you can start to ask yourself why. And this helps you see, like, on this day, Tuesday, I have a ton of things. So maybe it's you have to level load your week. Maybe you have two meetings scheduled at the same time and you're double booked. This allows you to peek ahead and at your week and say, oh, I need to make some adjustments. I need to be proactive, try to ask to move some meetings around, or intentionally decide not to attend so that I can work on other value added things. So it makes your decision making active rather than passive, which I love. I'm going to talk about how to incorporate this into your calendar on the next slide. But before I move on, I wanted to highlight another piece of this. This standard work template is something that I iterated over time and is one of my custom templates. And I had a space called Leave Happy Tasks on it. So I've blown it up here for you. I have 3 boxes for each day of the week. So 1, 2, 3, and a space to check off if they were completed. So the backstory behind this is um, I had a huge to-do list. Like I shared on day 1, I would have like 3 notebook pages back to back. So it's like 26 times 2 times 3 items on my to-do list. And it was like, how would I get all those things done? And so the only way I know how to get those things done is one by one. I think there's that saying that's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I decided to be really strategic about it. And I asked myself, if I were to do 1 to 3 things every day, what would those things be? And I first called it a to-do list, but for whatever reason, like in my brain, it just felt like a lot. Like I was overwhelmed by it. So I started calling it a leave happy tasks, because if I was able to get 1 to 3 things done, I could leave work happy. So this was pre-COVID, when I was like going in every single day, which is actually more similar to today. So it's been a bit, but yeah, so I started calling it leave happy tasks. And it was like putting a positive on something that felt like, oh, like I had to do. It was like, I get to do these things. I don't have to do these things. So when we talk about strategic goals and project priorities, working on those things would also be included in leave happy tasks. And if they were on here or right here, they would also be scheduled into my calendar. So let me share that with you. So this is the flow that I was talking about. I would have this huge list. So this is one of the templates that I keep in my notebook. I love lists. Again, making it positive. Here are all the bullet points of things that I might get from email, from requests from other people, from phone calls, from God knows what. Then I would kind of ask myself, what are the most important things that if I should get them done today, I would leave work happy? And I put them here, and then they went on my standard work. So, standard work should be used in partnership with your calendar. So, this week is literally this exact week. And I went back and found it in my calendar from work, and it's from 2020. It's from January 12th through the 18th. Monday was the 13th, Friday was the 17th of 2020, which is super cool. So, if you've heard about time blocking before, awesome. If you haven't, essentially what it is just scheduling intentional time or meetings with yourself to work on specific things. And I actually have my calendar color coded. Strategic goals is this like maroon color. Blood bank was orange at the time. One-on-ones are this blue color. Calendar time that's like protected or blocked is red. Let's see. Oh yeah, managers was like a green, and so on and so forth. You can see I even have my daughter. I got to take her to dance class, etc. So I had, let's just see, approve time card. I have it up here, approve time card. Let me get closer to the screen. So I had upgrade meeting here, and I have upgrade meeting here. So how you use this is your leader standard work helps you discern what things are coming into your day to day. I'm going to schedule these leave happy tasks, these things into my day, plus my meetings. Then I'm going to go on my calendar and physically schedule dedicated time to do that thing. Now, what's cool about leader standard work is that, and here's like a filled out one. This isn't the exact week, by the way. I just couldn't find any other filled out one on my computer at the time. But these are cyclical. So people always ask, like, how does it work? The thing about a calendar is that it's static. So unless you're physically going in and being like, oh, I wasn't able to get this strategic thing done here, let me move it here, you may not be able to use your calendar to reflect and learn. But leader standard work, you can see I've crossed out this meeting, said it's canceled, or this thing needed to be moved to a different time, for example. This would help me say, okay, this is what my actual reality was, and I would go on my calendar and move the meeting. I think over time we get really good about what is intentional work, and we don't maybe need to level load as much because we actually know and we can feel it. But it took me a couple years to get to that point. So on this standard work template, I actually have tallied the number of meetings or times where I'm fully booked for the day. And I kind of have this rule with myself that if I have 50% or more of my days scheduled in meetings, then that is too heavy. And I try to level load as much as possible so that it's more like 50% or less every day in meetings. Because then when else am I going to work on my own strategic goals and priority projects, right? If for some reason I have more than 50% scheduled and I can't do anything about it, it's just how it's going to be, then my leave happy task, I would actually write in here, I'd write be present. And I would just be like, I'm not getting other things done today. And that's okay, because that is an intentional decision. And my presence to listen and be there for my team is super, super important and also highly value added. So you can see I've done green or red. If more than the 4 hours is in meetings, it was red, and then 2.75, that was green, because less than half of my day is scheduled in meetings. So sometimes that's just how it goes. So again, just to kind of like tie everything together. So yesterday we talked about strategic goals and priorities. So we've got the roadmap with the project list or your Kanban board with your projects. Like I showed the Kanban board for my team, but I have a personal Kanban board for my tasks and my projects as well. Because my team's working on things and I'm working on things, right? Like, for example, I have a pet project called Leadership Development University for work where I'm talking with when I build curriculum for supervisors to give them tools at work to be successful. That has nothing to do with blood bank and laboratory. That is totally separate. It's a people engagement thing. So it's a project that I need to keep track of. So again, you can have your own project boards and your team's project boards, all of that. Those things plus anything that you get from that's a to-do or an idea or a task, maybe from email, maybe from a conversation in a hallway, maybe it's a thought you had. Those, if they're going to happen, if they're going to like make it into the real world and come to fruition, they have to be on your calendar or in your standard work or they're not going to happen. So that's how you kind of you take in the inputs here. You filter, you decide what's most important. What, if you did today, could help you leave work happy and move the needle for you for one of those projects, strategic goals, priorities. Those go on your standard work. You make sure you're level loaded. You are intentional. If you went, you can cross it off and say, awesome. Make sure you have a time block in your calendar. If it didn't happen, you ask yourself, why? Maybe I overscheduled myself that day. Maybe that was too lofty of a goal. Maybe I had 3 huge leave happy tasks and I should have had one huge one and nothing else. And that would have been better. And you learn and you adjust your calendar. You can look back at that and make tweaks for the next week. When you follow this system, you are organized AF. This is my secret sauce. This is the girl from the other day who was like uber confident. She walked in, she's like, hey, yo, I got this. This leads to more recognition, better performance reviews, less stress. You're chill, you're more calm, more money, more promotions, more responsibility without feeling like you're missing something. People ask me all the time at work, I don't know how you get so much done. And I'm like, leader standard work, intention. I make small progress every single day rather than having to take massive action by working super late every night and burning myself out like I used to do when I first started in my career. Remember I shared that story about how I used to work from like 6 or 6:30 in the morning to 7, 8, or 9 o'clock at night and not come home. And my boyfriend and at the time now my husband was like, what the heck? Don't you love me? That was not intentional. That was not productive. And didn't make me feel good. It made me feel resentful. This makes me feel so good. And I have 2 kiddos. I'm a wife, I'm a dog mom. I have a house to manage. I'm not saying I do all of that perfectly, but do I leave work on time? Heck yes, because I have a life inside of work and outside of work, and I want those to mesh well. And that means showing up in the best possible way at work and being on top of things, being organized, moving the needle for my team. And it means being hella awesome and confident in myself outside of work. And that means I've got to leave on time so I can enjoy sunshine, so I can do other things, be creative, have a life, enjoy my friends, enjoy my family, all that. So I am so passionate about this because I think when you start to be able to, like, okay, I'm going to manage the inflow, filter it, decide what's most important, get out of firefighting mode all the time, do what the intentional things I need to do, you move the needle so far. So, just real quick, I know sometimes I'll get questions like, okay, Kayla, so if you've time blocked your whole day, what about when like problems come up or somebody asks you a question and you're not able to work on what you plan to work on? Here's what I will say. The closer you are in your scope of control, so we talked about that scope or span of control diagram, the closer you are to this work being done, whether it's like being on the bench in the lab or running those reports to identify fraud or whatever it is, the closer you are to that work, the more white space you need in your calendar. And so what I mean by that is if you're going to try to do leave happy tasks and time block like this, I would suggest limiting yourself to maybe 1 or 2 leave happy tasks or 1 or 2 things you want to move the needle on every day. And then the rest might be meetings and your habits, things you have to do, like I have to check my KPI dashboard. I have to talk to my boss every day. I have to attend or I get to attend the huddles, right? Some things you don't have a choice. You need to be doing those. And so that might fill up your day. And then you leave room. So like here, I have room here and then this meeting was canceled. So if I were you, I would maybe block like an hour depending on like how much you're interrupted or how many times you've got to like put out a quote unquote fire so that if let's say this thing that was supposed to get done at 9:30 wasn't able to happen because somebody knocked on my door, now I'm going to move it to 10 or I'm going to move it to a hole I have in a different day. So just because you haven't done it or you didn't get to that thing on Monday, don't just forget about it and never do it or let it fall off your list. The point is when you're reflecting to be like, I didn't get that done. It's still an important thing. Move it to a next day or a next opening. So as a manager, I have I have autonomy over my own calendar. It's much more full than this is from 2020. In fact, I have like no white space. And so what I learned is that my calendar fills up 1 to 2 weeks ahead of time fully. So I actually have recurring meetings that I have scheduled with myself called focus time. And I just have them at the same time, multiple times a day as recurring instances so that 4 weeks from now, I have focus time planned and I can always move it around or delete it. But that way, if meetings get added or things happen or a fire happens, that I've built it in so that I'm not always trying to catch up. So maybe if you struggle with that and there's fires, maybe block a time of day that's less busy for you, maybe, or just get it on there somehow to be able to move it. Don't overschedule yourself. I know that that is hard and we can struggle with that. But that's the whole point of this is you're trying it this week and then next week you're tweaking. So if you're like, I overbooked myself this week, or you maybe tally, okay, this is the number of times I got interrupted. I need to build in more white space. I also just want to quickly say too that you might be enabling specific behavior. So if you are putting out fires constantly without judgment and just with reflection, I want you to ask yourself, do you kind of push back a bit and ask people like, how urgent is this? Or can I come out in 10 minutes? I'm working on something with intention right now. Or do you say, have you checked XYZ first? I know people hate it when I was a supervisor and they'd be like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do in this instance. And I would be like, have you checked our standard operating procedure? And they're like, she's so mean. And I'm like, no, I'm teaching you how to fish. So once you've looked up your resources, then come to me for help. I once told a story about helping people tie their own shoes. My kindergarten teacher said that after winter break, she wasn't going to be able to tie our own shoes anymore and we'd have to tie our shoes. And so she was teaching us like, I know I can still help you out, but really over break, you need to like get solid on tying your own shoes. And that's what we're helping people do. So I always assess urgency. Said, hey, I'm in deep work right now. Can I come out in half hour? And like 9 times out of 10, someone's like, oh yeah, totally. If not, they'll say, no, this is an emergency. And you're like, okay, in that case, that's more important than this. So just a couple notes. I just love this. I just love this chick. Okay, we're almost done. Moving on to the test method for successful delegation. So teachable, excited, strength, and try. So you don't want to delegate to just anyone. I think that people who don't understand or don't realize how to be successful with delegation really struggle with this and they fear it and they avoid it because they think it's going to take a lot of time and energy for them. And I just want to say that yes, it's an investment up front, but if you delegate to the right person, it can be super easy. So the test method is teachable. T for teachable. The person has to be teachable. If they aren't willing to learn, they are not your person. E is for excited. They have to be excited about the thing you're trying to delegate. You've got to be open to noticing the types of things people enjoy doing. So I love asking, are you a people, process, or data person? And this helps me know what people are naturally drawn to. Also, it's great to ask people which areas they're looking to grow in. You can just keep a log of people who are excited to be and teachable with types of things they love to do. So I have somebody who is great with Excel. I always use this example. And whenever I have like a finance or Excel thing, I'm like, do you want to learn? And she's like, yes. S is for strength. Delegate something in their strength. We are more productive and polished when we work in our zone of genius or strength. So you can keep track of people's strengths and ask them and ask people to take on new tasks or duties in an area they're good at first. Then, as they continue to show interest in growing, you can introduce them to areas outside of their comfort zone. So, we all know that like doing something in your strength area gives you confidence. And it's also often easier to teach into a strength and less work for you. And then, like I said, once they're game and they know how to work with you, you know how to work with them, then you can do like a stretch goal and teach something new outside of their comfort zone. And then T is for try or willing to try. So if they're willing to try new things, make mistakes and learn, that's the ideal person to delegate to. If they are paralyzed to start, it's going to be a lot harder to delegate and it'll take more energy from you as like a coach for them. That's not always a bad thing. It's just you want to be clear that you want them to try and give it a shot and let them know like perfection isn't key, it's just progress. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. So the comments on the screen says this is cool and explain well. Thanks heaps. I'm so glad this is helpful for you. I just think that we aren't often taught how to delegate. And I just want to share that if you use this framework, it's going to be easier. And again, getting back to discernment, what's the thing that which only you can do? And if you have something that only you believe you can do, or it's the intention that it's for your role to do, great. You keep that stuff. You can teach people those things as stretch goals. But if there are other things that come to you that maybe you think somebody else can do, definitely consider delegating them using the test method. And another question you can ask is, can the person meet the standard, like whatever your expectation is, or can they do it about 80% as good as you? And if yes, that's when you do the teaching. That's when you train, and that's when you delegate to them. So tomorrow, we're going to be talking all about how to template your work so that you can automate your systems and you can use those templates, checklists, automations to train and to delegate. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, so we're wrapping it up. This is the summary for day 3. So what you focus on grows. Remember your zone of control and thinking about the flow. So like the inputs are your strategic goals, your priorities, your to-dos, like the ideas, all the things, right? Filter those into what would move the needle the most for me in my day and in my outcome that I'm hoping to achieve, right? We're starting with the end in mind and where we want to be. We're having that vision of an organized AF professional. We're scheduling time for it. We're learning. We're adjusting the plan. We're creating white space, which leads to confidence, feeling more organized, getting better reviews, people saying like, I don't know how she's doing it, but they're rocking it. Feeling more at peace with yourself, in alignment, not stressed, and more money, more promotions, as well as starting to delegate some of those things maybe you don't need to be doing that are sort of like pile on your plate and you're thinking, oh gosh, I'm doing all of this, plus I got to do all my things. So we'll get more into that tomorrow. All right, so your homework is, I want you to reflect on your current level of focused intention. So how intentional are you with your days and the things that you are doing every day based on what your current span of control is? So without judgment, I want you to give yourself a rating from 1 to 10, 1 being all over the place and unfocused, and 10 being highly focused with leader standard work. And I want you to provide your rating and your reasons why you rated yourself that way in the comments of the daily homework post in the Facebook group or reply to my replay email. So if there's anybody in the chat that needs the link to sign up for this challenge, please let me know. I'm going to grab it and put it in the chat. If you haven't signed up yet, definitely go to this link. I'm going to throw that in the chat. And then you will be signed up for emails from me. You will get the replay email that's supposed to go out in a few minutes. I have it all scheduled today. I'm organized today. I'm organized AF today. I scheduled the Facebook post. I scheduled the YouTube. I scheduled the email to go out. So it was a good day today. So that being said, I will be here I can stay for a few more minutes and do a Q&A. And so put your comments in the chat, anything you're thinking, you want to ask me, you have questions about, maybe you have questions about Organized University. Maybe you want to let me know, how is this week going? Are you enjoying it? I would love to hear your comments. So as you're leaving your comments in the chat and sharing your thoughts with me, I'll just give you the reminders. So 4 p.m. Central, tomorrow's the last day. Oh my gosh. 5 p.m. Eastern, 45-ish minutes on the topic. And then Q&A after. We're going to be doing homework, daily action. I'll assign it so you can take action and make real progress. So far, I've been loving the homework I've been seeing in the Facebook group and the emails that I'm receiving from all of you who are participating. And then you will be entered into a giveaway if you let me know you've completed that homework. And so our giveaway is just awesome. Don't want to make you dizzy. I'll go back. I'm going to show it to you. So we have a new course launching tomorrow called Organized University. I'm going to be giving a course away for free to people who are completing the homework. And then as well, I am also giving away 3 months of one-on-one career and leadership coaching with me so we can talk through your goals. I can help you overcome any obstacles you have right now in your leadership journey and help you reach whatever goals you have in mind. So with that, let me know if there are any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Let me know if you've enjoyed this week. What's been most impactful for you, whether it's been day 1, talking about outcomes first, the lean principle, easier, better, faster, cheaper, spirit of your role, or your personal work brand. Maybe it's making work visible, A3 thinking, or living in that important, high impact, not urgent house, as well as SBAR for communication and the other templates. I'm curious to know what is your favorite thing so far. All right. Let me stop sharing my screen so it's just me. I love this background, this little desk. All right, well, one of my streams has connection issues. Trying to restore the connection. Please stand by. Okay, I had a message that my connection was poor, so hopefully it's all back and good. I am going to get going. If there are no further questions, I want to say huge, huge thank you to everybody who's been watching. This has been seriously a blast. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be talking about automating your work. We're going to be talking about making it easy, templating it, all the things. And again, it's just going to keep building on itself. So I'm really pumped to be back here. And I'm giving all the details about Organized AF University course and other ways that you can stay connected with me to help you in your leadership and your professional growth journey to be more organized. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you so much. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care.